Okay, no problem. I think there was an issue with my laptop. I don't know why it wasn't picking up. Okay, first of all, my name is Ujiri Ogene, and thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. I believe that this quick session will be of great importance to me. I'm a fashion designer. I own a fashion brand based in Accra. Can you still hear me?
Yes, you can.
We can
Okay,
hear
I
you.
run a fashion brand. Okay, I run a fashion brand based in Accra and Lagos, Nigeria. Um, we have successfully built it to a reasonable state and we are looking to expand. We're currently in negotiations for a loan and possible partnership with another individual. His name is Mr. Eruka. And I've actually drafted out a document or like an agreement between the two of us, but I just decided to send it to you today. I just wanted to know from a legal perspective if it was actually okay and both parties are actually covered legally.
Okay. Who is the person that drafted the agreement that you want to share? Is it a lawyer or you drafted it yourself?
I drafted it myself, ma.
Okay, are you a lawyer?
I'm not a lawyer, ma.
Okay.
Yeah, Paul, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay. Could you give us an insight into, the kind of
Okay.
loan? Yeah, give us an insight into,
Okay.
what you need from
So
this person.
okay, let me open. Okay, so it's actually in two parts, right? There is money, no. There's money, I think 12 million naira. But there is another part where, because we are trying to add a bit of tech to the whole sewing process. So there's a part where because he's a developer, he has to build a web app, right? From our speculations, the web app should about 10 to 15x our revenue. So there's a part where he has to build and maintain a web app he has to build it in 6 months and he has to maintain it for the next 10 months in exchange for 30% of the equity of the business. Although there's also a clause for an equity buyback from my end if for any reason after the stipulated amount of time I want to buy back the equity at market price.
Okay, so essentially you're getting both money and services from Mr. Paul in exchange
Yes,
for
Mr.
30% of your
Ebuka actually.
business. Mr. Ibuka, sorry. In exchange for
Yes,
30% of your business that you eventually might buy back.
yes, sir.
And the money is money you're going to refund him? Are you going to repay him the 12
Yes,
million?
the equity is separate. It has obligation before it can be given to him. So he has to finish the web app in 6 months with an extra grace period of 2 months, right? Or if he doesn't finish it, there's a provision here where we can renegotiate the deal. But for the money, it's a standard loan with an
Okay,
interest rate
for
that
my
we pay
first
back.
for my first advice, right? I don't know if this goes without saying, but um there should be two separate agreements. The loan
Okay,
agreement should be separate from the equity agreements. These are two separate things.
different thing.
They should be
Okay,
contracted separately. Let
okay,
there be a separate loan agreement, and then let there be, I want to believe, a share agreement or an equity agreement.
okay,
So
okay,
that's
sir.
first. That's first. What are the terms of the loan agreement? Let's start with that. Like, he's giving
Um,
you 12 million. How are you repaying, and how long does it last?
12 million. He has not agreed to the interest rate, but it's at 20% for sorry, 30% for 18 months and full payment at the end. So it's not monthly or quarterly, it's just a full bulk payment at the end.
Oh, sorry, I didn't get that. Did you say 30%? That's 18 months.
Yeah, an interest rate of 30% over it. But it for the whole 18 months, not per month.
Okay, so the loan tenure is basically for you're expected to repay it within 18 months.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is that fair? Do you think is that something you can actually do, or do you need to? Whose idea was it? Whose idea was the 18-month repayment?
Sorry, come again.
I said it was the 18 months repayment period of your idea.
It was my idea. It was my idea.
Okay. Okay, well, I don't like talk to me about the contract. What else is there? What else is in the loan agreements? Well, when are you receiving the money and how long do you have before you actually start paying back?
He has not actually reviewed it. He just told him to draft it up and send
No,
to
no,
me. So
I'm
this is
saying
more
from
like,
you, from what you've drafted now. Tell me
okay,
what's your
okay. From what I drafted, the loan amount is 12 million. The loan doesn't start reading to January 1st, 2025, but the loan is actually broken into two payments. The first payment should come in the first week of November, which is this week, and then the second payment should come in the first week of December. The interest rate is 30% over 18 months, and the total repayable amount is 30%, 3.6, that's 15.6 M. And the other things are okay, then there is signatures. Yeah, I think that's just about it.
sounds like a simple agreement. I don't know if anybody has anything to say.
Does anyone have anything to add?
Okay, so for me, I would just like to understand like the equity part of it.
Okay. We want to build a web app that would allow us quicken the work process and reduce our lead time for others. One of my major selling points has been the fact that I actually deliver very, very fast. I deliver within 5 to 7 days. So I thought of a way that I could actually shorten that time to 48 to 72 hours. But I would need a system that is fairly automated so that I can actually pull off something like that consistently. So the web app is supposed to help us manage both our inventory, financials, customers, and basically data analytics all around, right? It's more or less supposed to be like the online part of the business, so people can actually interact rather than just coming to WhatsApp and whatnot. So he's a developer, so he said me and his team will build the app. There are some he's built it, he said you can build it in 3 months, but I just said 6 months because things can always happen. So he's agreed that he'll build it in 6 months. And then when the app is built and he has maintained it, he's to maintain it for 10 months, right? In case maybe there's any of these bugs or whatnot. Then after that, he gets the 30% equity of the business.
But like, why are you paying him for the service? I mean, why are you paying him with equity for the service rather? Like,
That's what he
is
wants.
that's what he
That's
wants?
what he
I think
wants, one. And second, considering the fact that I've actually asked how much to take to build something like that and maintain it over a period of time, it actually sounds like a fair deal to me.
30%.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm really not an expert in um this part, which is like giving out equity and all, but I would I would say that there are like two things that I'm aware of, but I don't know why Joe is not speaking. Maybe he's not online. But there are
Okay.
like two things that I'm aware of, and that's like vested shares and also there are like times when people have to like state in the initial agreement that these shares can be diluted and all just in case they are going for funding rounds and all that. So I think
Okay.
that's the sense of why that's like the essence of using like an experienced lawyer when it comes to financing and equity, so that first of all, but from what you explained, so the person doesn't get the shares until everything is done and complete and after the waiting period, to my
Yes, sir.
understanding, right?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so because for some people that I see, like they like give shares immediately and then the people don't like do what they are supposed to do. So since he doesn't get the shares until everything is done, that's fine. And even there are still sometimes that people can say, okay, maybe the shares that will be given is the 30%. However, they can say maybe from this period to this point, after this has been done, 5% of the shares will come to you. Then if from this period to this period, this is able to last and blah 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 blah, then the remaining 10 will come. Then from this time, so they like spread out the shares, or if something happens, then these shares come like that. And you, they also put something like, okay, after this time, if the person is not active, person is not adding any form of value to the company and all that, then the shares would drop to this percentage. So there's a way they do it so that you don't just carry 30% and give to someone and like in another, I don't know, like the person is not doing anything and you've already given 30% to that person. Then there is also something that I hear of, but I say I'm not an expert in this, so but there is like devaluation or dilution of shares
Yes,
or
there's
something.
revaluation. Yeah.
Yeah, dilution. So if probably you want to go for a funding round and you've already given 30%, that means what is left is 70%, and you want to get funding from other people. By the time you give huge chunks of what you're doing, what you have, so there's a way they are able to dilute it and still be able to, but that has to be in the initial agreement. So, but since you drafted this yourself, I don't know, maybe the same way you drafted it yourself, you might also want to add things like this to it. Or if you can get a lawyer that is skilled in this area, they can help you adjust it, because most times you might know how your business is starting, but you don't know how it will evolve in the future.
Yeah.
So if you've already given everything out, you might just discover that at the end, like you're just tied to something and you can see opportunities, but you can't take advantage of it again. And also,
Yeah.
there's something about there's another thing I usually hear about like the buying back of the shares
Yeah,
and
there's a
like a
buyback clause for it.
how much, yes, and then there's a cap on how much you can buy it back for, and that you should be made the
Yeah.
first offer, something like that. All right, thank you.
So just to recap, because I'm taking notes of everything, I'm gonna have to do a lot of research and know how to write this properly.
I
There's
think
the
you should get
buyback
a doctor instead of doing all this research.
myself.
Maybe not me, because I would not do that since I'm not an expert in it. But I think
Okay, financial.
there might be some people that are experts here. So maybe at the end of this session, they might send like the list of the lawyers to you, or you can also just search on your own for someone who is competent in this field, just in case. Because if you're not a lawyer, you're not a lawyer, no matter how you research.
Yeah, that's
Thank
true. That's true. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
just a brief ad. At the point of when the explanation started, I think I missed out on few things, my network and all of that. But in terms of the progression of the conversation, Juliana has actually hit the nail on the head in several areas. The issues of vested shares, the issues of dilution, issues of buyback shares, all of those issues, because much of the time, most business people don't necessarily have the opportunity to renegotiate a contract after a contract has already been negotiated, especially when if it's at high stake level of businesses, maybe yes. But in terms of low stake businesses, maybe in terms of the value of transactions, a lot of people don't have the opportunity to renegotiate because parties may begin to feel that maybe somebody has seen a value that the next person is not seeing. So they want to take advantage of that. And in line with that, people might not be open, to look at initial terms of arrangements again. So like Juliana said, I feel strongly that it might be very important for you to look at the possibility of actually getting a professional to look this through. If it's 100K or slightly more, or slightly less that you pay to get that value, You know, for me, I feel it's more
Be worth it.
important than for you to try to wing this on your own, especially if it's a transaction that you feel has potential to do much. It's just best to talk to a lawyer that understands, you know, some of these issues. And of course, not every lawyer can give you advice on something like this. There are some lawyers that their strength might be in the area of criminal law. They have nothing to offer you in things of this nature. There are some lawyers that maybe they are into oil and gas, they are into sustainable power, you know. You need to look for a lawyer that understands, you know, transactions, that understands transactions, yes, that understands how some of these issues around shares, the interplay of shares, ownership, divestment, all of these things. So it's very, very important. I wouldn't advise you to go it alone, except you are confident in your skills that you'll be able to understand all the issues, you know, because I feel it's just easier to have somebody else that has had experience with things like this think through the entire process on your behalf and at least observe the scenarios that you might be currently faced with in terms of the story you have, than you having to read through stuff or maybe using ChatGPT to get an agreement and all that. You know, people do all those things. I will just stop here now by saying that there used to be this client of mine that went to download a contract from Google. You know, he downloaded the contract, but he forgot that the contract said if there's any dispute, the court of reference will be the court in Delaware, USA. This guy has never left the shores of Nigeria. So when they began to have issues, the other party noticed the error, but he went ahead to sign. He now said, Tom, you need to go and sue me in the United States of America based on this agreement. So a lot of things can go wrong with a contract when the parties to that contract necessarily don't have the legal knowledge or the wherewithal to be able to interpret certain things about that contract. And beyond, you know, just drafting a contract, it's still a lawyer's duty to also look at the business case, because sometimes people may not look at the business case of the transactions that they are getting into. If you have a proper business lawyer that can look at the business case, the person will be able to advise you, this contract that you're entering, you might not be able to even derive the benefits of what the contract is meant to deliver to you in the first place. I think you should rework the entire business outlook, the profits, the profitability outlook of the contract as well, so that you are not holding, you know, the short end of the entire transaction. So I wouldn't advise that you go this alone. I would advise that you look for, you get a lawyer. I'm sure that there are lawyers on this platform that may have the requisite skill to be able to go through this with you at a cost. You know, it's better to invest that, you know, and know that, okay, that's like a business cost, than to keep researching and you may not necessarily be researching in the right direction. So I think I'll stop for now. Thank you so very much for the opportunity to engage with you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay. Hi. Yes, sorry. Not much to add, just by way of conclusion. I will just be reverting back to the loan agreement, right? I think that also needs to look over. Fortunately, the same lawyer that would look over the equity agreements, if you do decide to get one, can also look over the loan agreements, because it's also a commercial agreement. And you need to be careful in terms of the conditions that are put into the loan agreement. I raised an eyebrow when you said you received the loan. You received the second tranche of the loan in December, and start repayments in January, if I'm not wrong. I think that needs to be corrected. If the business enough time to absorb the loan and put it to work, so that it does the work and raise some kind of profit before you start thinking of the sale. So yeah, that's just what I want to add.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much, sir.
No problem.
Thank you, sir, and thank you to all professionals who were able to speak with Mr. Paul. And I'm sure Mr. Paul has been able to get one or two things from this section. So moving forward, we'll be going to the next person on the call, which is Mr. Abdulganiyu Aziz. He's a 400 level law student. So he will give us a brief of what he wants. Then the floor is open to whoever wants to talk to Mr. Aziz. Thank you. So Mr. Aziz, you can unmute your mic and speak.
Good evening.
Okay, good evening, sir.
My name is Abdul Aziz. Permit me to introduce myself. I'm a foreign law student from Osman University. Actually, I've not been able to be current with the session because the network has been fluctuated here. So the only thing I have to say is that based on the topic of the session, that a free legal clinic. So as a law student, so I'm ready to be mentored on every aspect of law that is related to the free legal clinic. Thank you, ma. Can you hear me, ma?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Aziz. Okay, so what
So,
exactly?
if you don't mind, Sophie, just a minute. Let me just quickly address this. We have to call the Gypsy Men.
Hello. Hello.
Addresses,
Mr. Joe, we can't hear you again.
I can hear him too here.
Sorry, let's hold on. I think his network is having issues.
Yes.
What the legal clinic basically does, it addresses real life scenarios of certain legal transactions or challenges that individuals might have. So the lawyers on this platform just help to bring clarity to the legal questions that prospective clients might basically be having. So in terms of having to be mentored, I feel the best route for you, Sophie might be able to guide you on that. The best route for you might be to take the Gypsy Mentorship and Internship Program. Look for something that meets your interest. Then on the basis of that, you might be able to make a decision. I wouldn't know whether these sessions are open to people that require mentorship. Maybe Juliana, or better yet, Sophie might be able to guide us on that. Thank you.
Sir, so Mr. Aziz, we could discuss about this later.
All right.
Okay, so moving forward to the third person, Mrs.
Can you hear me?
Okay,
Yes, I just want to add quickly that really, I just wanted to ask him if what he has done in terms of internship, because internships have a way of focusing your energy on what helping you actually discover what you're doing. So has he done anything? Have you done anything with the way of internships?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Emeka. Moving forward to the third person on the call is Mrs. or Miss Jesu Timileyin. So Mrs. Jesu Timileyin is a poet who wants to protect her work. So she will shed more light on this. Mrs. Jesu Timila, you could unmute the call. Unmute yourself, please. Mrs. Timila,
Oh, hello. Sorry, I apologize. Network has been something else.
sorry about
My
that.
name is, thank you so much. My name is Timileyin, just Timileyin Henry Lego, and I I am a law student, but I've also been a poet for a couple of years. And because because I'm a creative in that sense, I find that I have some issues with international intellectual property, especially because I scribble a lot. And so perhaps maybe I write something that pops up in my head I want to write about. And then a friend of mine just comes up and she picks it up. And next thing I see is her work with my lines on the internet. And so I would really like to know how I can, protect myself against this, because creativity is something that you cannot really recreate a lot, the same thing. So I really want to know how I can prevent this from happening subsequently, because I really value my work and I want my work to be respected as I want I to be respected. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Timila. So who would love to attend to her? Can kindly unmute his or her mic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sophie. And sorry about what you said. So, is it like a hypothetical thing, or is it something that happened really?
Oh, it happened. It has already happened.
Okay. Well, so the general rule about copyright is that it's automatic that you have the copyright to your work once it's put in a fixed form. So the fact that you wrote it in a book, you have the right to it already. And so you're the owner and you're the author of the work. So for the friend coming to your work to pick it up, that's already like an infringement on your work. The issue with this now is, how do you prove that the work that was on paper was written before that friend took it and published it? Because what she has done, whether she or he, I'm not sure, what she has done is that she has gone ahead to publish it. And so even if people check online and all, the first work that they see with such expression, because copyright protects the expression of a work and not the idea. So the first expression that they find of this work now is her work and not your work, because yours was written in a paper format. And except you can prove that this was the day she came, this was the day she took it, and all. But for example, if you had it taken like on your phone or something and you sent it to her, maybe to read through, because there have been issues like that where people write and they just need like another eye to look at it. And then they send it to their friend to look at. After the friend looks at it and say, "Oh, I think this is okay," then the friend goes ahead to publish it before they publish it. So at that point, you already have like a trail, like an email trail or like a WhatsApp trail, like you can easily use to prove that, okay, this was the day I sent it to her and then blah blah blah. But at this point, since everything is analog, the question that you would have, even if you try to resolve this dispute, is how would you prove? Because she can easily deny that, no, I never saw your book. And even if you say, yes, this is like my book, it's in 20, maybe it was in 2017 I wrote it, how would you prove that that book was in existence in 2017? So going forward, I would advise that everything that you write, if you're writing it in an analog format, that's what people call like a trade secret. A trade secret is something that has commercial value and has been, and you've taken extra steps to keep secret. So since you know that there's value, sorry, there's someone. Oh, I'm coming. So since you know that there is value, let's assume that you didn't know before that there was value to your art. Now you know that there's value to your art, so you have to keep it confidential. You have to keep it secret. So in the sense that if you're someone that your creativity flows in an analog format, because there's some people that their creativity might not flow if they are even using like a regular computer. They have to use like a typewriter for the um, creativity to flow. There are some people that they have to be writing with a pen and pen and a paper for their creativity to flow. So if you're that kind of person, if it's possible for your creativity to flow in a digital format, then I would advise that when you're scribbling and everything, let it be in a digital format that is passworded for only you, so that you are sure that no one has access to your creativity. But if you are someone that your creativity flows in an analog format, then I would advise that when you write in an analog form, which is like paper to pen or something. Sorry, someone is unmuting. Let me see. So if as in you like think that you work in an analog format, then those papers, those books, and those things where you scribble your stuff, try and have like a this chest or like a what's the word, like a secret. You keep those things. Let it not be easily accessible, because that's your own trade secret. That's your own intellectual property. So you protect it that way. And so now I think that my question to you might be, um, first of all, try to take like intellectual property courses or mentorship programs that would give you more understanding of your creative rights. Then two, do you have any way of proving that this person had access to your work and all that?
Perhaps maybe a few people saw her just looking through the book and, skimming through.
Okay, okay. So is it something that you want to pursue, or is it something that you want to just leave and then just take more protective measures going forward?
I think I understand how tedious and cumbersome the legal system is in Nigeria, so I'll probably just let this one go.
Okay, but you understand like the fact. So well, let me allow some other people to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Juliana. I think Mr. Oluwasegun Idowu said something on the chat box. So, Mrs. Simile, you could also go through that. He said in case you also post your works on certain platforms like blogs, like blogs, always use that C symbol with your name. And moreover, try and publicize your work instead of keeping it. Once it's publicized, it becomes more secured and make it easy to prove the ownership of your creativity. So you could also put that into play. Is there any other professional that would love to speak with Mrs. Timileyin?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Nifemi.
Good evening. So I just want to add to what Ms. Juliana has said, that first is the issue of that. Copyright, as you said, as I said, is not about to be research, about publicizing it. The main focus should be how she can prove that she wrote that poem, or she wrote whatever poem she's writing. Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
On that she's the one first that write that poem. I think what I just want to add is those things that she first is regarding of the current infringement. Personally, I always value intellectual property that I'm not always happy when we let go like that, because that poem out there, she does not know, or we don't know how far it can go later, what value it can actually create. And that's the beauty of creative works. It can go as far as we don't even know. So I don't want the situation by at that point she will now be feeling that she should have raised an action. It can be as simple as just writing a letter to inform him that she has infringed on the work in the first instance, or she has infringed on the work on the first instance. She said that she wrote the book, she wrote the poem somewhere in the book. Even if you have written it somewhere, did you date the poem when you wrote it? That's something that you should consider. When you send it to people, did you send it by WhatsApp, or did you snap it to them? How did they get to read the poem? These are the things that she can consider to know what she just needs is something that can show that she has written that book, that poem, long before the person publicizes it. That is what first thing I want to say about the current infringement. Now, on the other ones is how she can prevent it. Just to add to what Madam I said earlier, is that one advice I always give is that apart from writing, apparently when you write anything with regards to copyright, at the point of writing it, what it requires is the expression. It is the part that you have put it down, regardless of publicizing or not. What is required that you have put it down first. At the point of putting it down, you already enjoy the protection without even publicizing it. So the thing is that what you should do is that when you write a note like that, try and put it either in your email. Yes, if you cannot use Google Drive or anything, Google Drive can be your first place of saving even if you write it down in a book, type it out or take a picture of it. When you take a picture of it, put it in your email. That picture will show where the save is. It will show where you put it on your email. You understand? If the fact that you write a poem does not mean you want to be on a blog at that instant. It does not mean you want to publicize at that instant. It may be something I'm just writing down to keep. But the fact that you don't publicize it, or you don't want to put it on the blog at that point, does not mean you should not have your protection. So what you should do is that, I think she said that the minimum you can do is take a picture of it. That point you take a picture of it, you'll be showing you on your phone. Send it to your email, put it on your Google Drive. So and wherever you are sending to help you review, always put a note that what they are reading is confidential and it should not be publicized out. Those are the merest minimum protection you can do. That is what you can enjoy as a copyright owner of the work. The guarantee someone is let them know that look for a way to show that at the point you're writing, and whatever she is writing consequently, let her always do it. At that point you are writing a full digit on the date you are writing is there. It also be useful in proving that you are the one that first wrote the book. So I think that's what I want to say regarding the current infringement and to protect any further infringement. And the work she has written, you should do the same thing to them. You try and date them, try and make sure you can show when you did it. So I think that's my own contribution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nifemi. Does anyone else have anything to say?
Yes, thank you very much. I think Nifemi really said like a lot of practical things that she can do going forward. And just to speak to what he said about writing a letter, so the truth is that you you actually don't know how far that poem will actually go. And let it even be that you wrote a letter just to state that on this date you came to my room and you took my book, and you can just pass it through a lawyer to look at it, like just just to state the fact that happened, and the fact that there are people that witnessed it, and then you can put like lines from the poem which she saw that she replicated in her poem, and then you would now state that you would like her to acknowledge that those lines all were like taken from yours, and that you're requesting that the poem be amended to a joint ownership status. So she can deny that she didn't take it from there, or she can admit and she can change like the status from a sole ownership to a joint ownership. So at that point, it will now be that it's like a joint poem where both of you did it, because that's a derivative work. So she can then amend it saying that the authors are herself and you, because part of your lines were you. So that's a derivative work. So I think that even if she denies it, there is already proof that that letter has already been sent to her. So even if it's in, so she might respond, she might not respond, whichever, but that's already like a form of alternative dispute resolution, because that's starting with the negotiation arm of it. So at least there's already proof that an official statement or a letter has been sent to her. So even if it's an maybe in another 20 years, 30 years, who knows if something substantial comes out from that particular poem, and you still need to show that you had officially informed her like in 2024, you like have a you have a letter showing that you had written about this years ago. So I think that you should actually draft something following what Nifemi said, draft what happened, and draft showing like the lines that were stolen and all, and then make your request, what you want her to do as a result of this. Number one, you want her to acknowledge that lines were taken from this. Number two, you want her to amend the name of the author in the poem to also carry your name, making it a joint ownership or whatever. So that's what I think that you can do, so that there's an official document that has that. And then when you send it to her, you can send it to her via email, so that there's also proof of that correspondence. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Juliana. Um, so Miss Jetsu Timilain, I think Mr. Olusegun Idowu sent you something on the chat box so that you could use in addition for your future works. The link is the Nigerian Copyright Commission online website you can use to register some of your works when you can. So you could also go through that. Thank you very much, Mr. Shegun.
Sorry,
Um,
Sophie.
okay.
Regarding the copyright, what you can do for the registration is you can register your work like poem by poem, like one poem, second poem, third poem, or you can register it like as a volume of works, or maybe like a compendium or something. So you can join like all your poems that you have written from when you were born to 2024. compile all of them and then register it as a single work with the Copyright Commission using that link that was put there. Registration is about 10,200 and something. That's the remitter charges. So I think it's also something that you can do so you have a certificate for like all your work. So just put everything together as one, as a compilation of your work. Then just do like a single registration since you are a student. Just put everything together and then go through the link and register your work. That would just give you like a prima facie evidence as the owner and author of your work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Juliana. And thank you, Mrs. Jesus for joining the call.
Thank you so much for the help. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thanks to all the professionals. So, Mr. Aziz has something to say. So, Mr. Aziz, kindly unmute your mic and speak.
I think he's not online.
I think he just went off now. He said he had something to say actually. So okay, I think he's back on. Mr. Aziz, you could speak now. All right. So I think then that will be all for the client for today. 2 people were unable to join. So without further ado, I would love to thank everyone for joining today's session. It's been really insightful and it's been helpful to the clients who joined in. And thank you to the professionals who were able to speak and provide helpful tips to the clients. It's really appreciated, and we thank you for all the support, and you've been really helpful. Thank you very much. And do have a nice evening.
Thank you very much, Sophie.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Goodbye.